Topping today's news, the coroner's court finds the death of Azario Major in a police-involved shooting homicide by manslaughter. The education minister makes a plea to motorists after primary school students are hit by a car on Wednesday. Minister Halkitis addresses gas stations' decisions to not sell diesel, and the Attorney General speaks on the green paper for corporate income tax and the citizenship ruling. Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Jcn Saunders. This is your JCN Evening News. It's a pleasure to have you join us. First up, a coroner's court jury has found that the death of Azario Major was homicide by manslaughter. Major was killed in December of 2021 in a police-involved shooting just outside a bar on Fire Trail Road. Police at the time alleged that 31-year-old Major pointed a gun at a group of officers who subsequently shot and killed him. Officers stated at the time that a 9mm pistol was found in Major's car. However, for months, families of the deceased agitated that a proper investigation be done, as they believe that he was not justifiably killed. Now, while the coroner's inquest is not a trial and the jury's verdict is non-binding, it is now up to the Department of Public Prosecutions and its acting director, Cordell Frazier, to determine whether to act on the jury's verdict. Education, Technical and Vocational Training Minister Glenys Hanna-Martin urging motorists to exercise due care and caution as it relates to pedestrians, in particular school children in and outside of school hours and in school zones especially. The minister's plea comes after 3 primary school children were hit by a vehicle while trying to cross the road in the area opposite the Teachers and Salaried Workers Credit Union on the East-West Highway on Wednesday. A statement from the Ministry of Education notes that currently one of the children is listed in serious condition in hospital. Minister Hanna-Martin says the safety and well-being of our children is paramount, and she asks all road users to collaborate and ensure that the safety of pedestrians, especially children, is taken seriously on our streets. Thoughts and prayers are with the child listed in serious condition and for the other 2 children for a full and speedy recovery. Diesel is still available on the island. This is coming from Minister of Economic Affairs, Senator Michael Halkitis, following petroleum retailers stopping the sale of diesel fuel beginning on Monday, May 23rd. Despite this, he says the government has no intention to increase margins on the price of fuel per gallon, as is being sought by the retail petroleum dealers.
The position of some of the retailers is that the profit that they're making on it currently is not sufficient for them to continue. We hope that they reconsider that. And our position is, it remains that, the government of Bahamas is sympathetic to their plight. But at this time, with conditions as they are, we are not, considering any increase in the margins.
Minister Halkitis goes on to reveal that the government has given the petroleum dealers a tax rebate to help them, which he believes was sufficient to ease their burden.
When we say we are sympathetic, we've been having these discussions for many months, and the government last year provided tax rebates to the tune of $6 million to the retail petroleum dealers, $5.5 million in cash, and $500,000 as offset to some of the taxes that were owing. So we have made an effort to help to ease their burden and give them some support, to give them some breathing room. And we would hope that, well, we know that helped. And we just, we continue to ask them to, it's a difficult situation for all. And so it would just be, not in for us to consider raising prices at the pumps at this time.
As for the long-term solution to this ongoing petroleum debacle, Minister Halkitis says they will continue to try to seek a solution with proposals.
We don't want the easiest solution as far as the dealers are concerned is to give them a margin increase. And what that does is everybody who goes to the pump will pay more. All of us, all right? And so, as I said, we've been having these discussions for a long time. Global conditions are such that prices are high. Part of our solution and our accommodating was to give the tax rebates last year. all right? And we thought that would give some breathing room. We think it did. So we continue to try and seek a solution, but it's not a simple solution as give a margin increase that would increase the price for everybody, or take the tax off of diesel or whatever, which only means that the government's revenue will fall short and you have to go borrow the money to fill up the gap. So there's some proposals going back and forth. We continue to discuss them. It's a very difficult situation, and so that is why the Prime Minister would say we continue to talk, exchange proposals, see how we can help.
He says the government must make decisions that will continue to help the entire population. On Tuesday, Bahamas Petroleum Retailers Association President Raymond Jones told reporters that the halt of the sale of diesel was because of the government's failure to address margin concerns. Vice President of the Retailers Association, Vasco Bastian, announced last week that residents may face a dire summer as retailers doubt the government will address their concerns in the upcoming fiscal budget. Attorney General Senator Ryan Pinder giving more insight into the government's corporate income tax strategies, known as the Green Paper. He goes on to clarify that those who would be subject to a corporate income tax would not be subject to business licenses.
Through the different options in the Green Paper, you will you will see that they demonstrate revenue, tax revenue, under the different options, and the intent and how they're structured is that those who would be subject to a corporate income tax would not be subject to business license. Now, you will see in the different options, some companies may be subject to corporate income tax and some may not. It's based on revenue. And in those instances, those that are not under corporate income tax would be under business license. Those that would be in corporate income tax would not pay business license.
According to the Green Paper, that is just one of 4 options for the tax, which applies a 12% rate for firms above $0.2 million and maintains the business license for firms below that threshold. Senator Pinder says businesses will still have to pay value-added tax.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're unrelated. Actually, a business is kind of business neutral on VAT, right? Because they get offsets for their VAT expenditure. So it's really a consumer-based tax rather than a corporate income tax being specifically a business-level tax. So they're different taxing regimes. But that's feedback that we're looking at. Certainly, not all of the options are positive. And we make that point in the Green Paper. There's 4 options with different effects on growth and different effects on revenue and different effects on employment. And so, absolutely, we're sensitive to that. We thank the feedback from the chamber on an immediate basis, but we look for a properly reasoned and thought out position of the chamber because they represent the business interest as a whole. And so they should take their time, review it, and analyze it and provide that back to us in writing.
On Wednesday in the House of Assembly, by way of a communication, Prime Minister Philip Davis explained that if the corporate income tax for international businesses in the Bahamas that qualify is not collected in the Bahamas, it will be collected in another jurisdiction, and the Bahamas would lose out on that revenue. Meanwhile, Senator Pinder goes on to assure the public that the government has not made a decision as yet, and the Green Paper is just for consultation.
So that's the framework of it. But again, I emphasize it's a Green Paper for consultation. The government's taken no policy position. We've put the facts out there. The Prime Minister will announce today, if he hasn't already done so, an extension to the consultation period through August. So we will have detailed discussions with the general Bahamian populace, both consumers and business owners, on how the different options and what the consultation would be impacting their business.
The consultation period has been extended until the end of August, in fact, August 21st. And finally, in this segment, Attorney General Senator Ryan Pinder giving updates on the marijuana legislation and the citizenship ruling carried out by Chief Justice Ian Winder on May 4th. He says the cabinet has considered the compendium of bills or compendium of laws for the marijuana legislation, and the government will launch a public consultation very soon. Now, as for individuals born out of wedlock by foreign mothers to Bahamian men, the Attorney General says they are moving forward to get those individuals ready to begin applying for their documents.
So we have finalized our advice to both the Cabinet and the Passport Office and the Ministry of Immigration, and I'll be bringing a statement on that that details the framework that the Cabinet has decided.
The Privy Council affirmed Chief Justice Ian Winder's landmark citizenship ruling earlier this month, declaring that children born out of wedlock to Bahamian men are citizens at birth regardless of their mother's nationality. The government can now amend the Bahamas Nationality Act to further equalize access to citizenship, an objective it said it would pursue once the Privy Council rendered its judgment on the narrower citizenship issue. We'll take a break here. We'll be right back after these commercials.